All right, what's up, everybody? We are back here again for week number 10 of Backyard Bookie. Scott finished off October. Unfortunately, half a point short, I fell. It was a valiant comeback I pushed forward, but I had to take a spin on the wheel of punishment again. It was tough. I mean, I'm not too happy about it, but it was fitting what my punishment was this month. But we're just going to show it live here. We're going to get a live reaction from Scott. He hasn't seen it. I didn't record me doing it, but yeah, I had to take a spin on the wheel and way to get the Kirko stash going here. Very strong look, but what do you think, Scott? What do you think?
Looks good on you. Like you said, it's fitting. We send our thoughts and prayers to our guy Kirk Cousins, who tore his tore his Achilles. Excuse me. No, looks great on you. Showing off that chin now.
Strong. I don't think I've had this little facial hair everywhere else since like high school. I've been pretty much a full beard man for most of my actual adult life. But it's sad, we were on the Creed train. The Rangers just won the World Series. The Vikings were going to win the Super Bowl. We were on the Creed train, and then Kirk Cousins loses his leg. So it's not fair, but we're here for November. Scott is doing a shot of death this month, or an ice bath, or, maybe a flaming wind challenge. Half a point. I'm sick that I lost. I shouldn't have lost. But we're just going to get it started here. What's bet number one for November, Scott?
Yeah, starting off a new month. Starting off on a very hot note here. I think you potentially even had this game because I think it's almost I wouldn't say a lock, but it's trending to be a lock most every single time this happens in a football season. Army Air Force.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
Yep, totals 31.5. Since 2005 is the big stat. 45 and 10 unders have been hitting. You would think that at some point that would change. It hasn't been changing at all in the last, looks like, close to 20 years. I know service academy games are just low scoring. They don't like each other. They like each other, but they don't like playing each other.
I got good news, Scott. Good news. It's up to 32 this game. Oh, my God. We're breaking the bank right now.
I'll take 32. That's fine with me. If you take it, I'll take it. If you're taking the game, then I'll take a 32. That's a half point means everything in this. So, Army Air Force, I'd have to look at the stats, but I don't think they've gone over recently.
So since
against each other
since 2012, so the last 11, last 9, they've gone. They haven't hit over 31, but twice. They've been 7 under and 2 over, and one of those 2 was an overtime game, and they got to 35 in that overtime game. So
I do remember that, yeah.
This is just all under all the time. I'm a little worried here. Air Force is like not a bad football team. They're undefeated. They're playing for a lot. Army's offense is terrible. Like, we got a leak last week that their quarterback was going to play. He did not play, and I don't think he's playing again this week. They're pathetic. So, yeah, we're riding this under here. Like, armed services and unders are just free money. I like that we both have the game. Like, this is one of the few times we both had the same game. At least from a spread.
I totally figured you'd have it. But, I feel like riding together with the Service Academy under is always a fun ride. So I'm going with it. Obviously, you are too.
If this game hits over, it's going to be a bad month. They're in Denver. Like, the weather's probably not going to be great. They snowed all week, I think, there. It's just, this is going to be an ugly football game.
It's actually pretty good weather. It's going to be 59 and pretty much clear. So
that's
good weather for football,
but it's like summer.
I'm not sure exactly. I'm not really sure it matters in these games. There's never any scoring. If it's like a 21-10 game, I'd even be shocked. So.
Air Force 18.5 point favorites here. This game could be 20-0. And they cover. Yep. But 18.5, that's pretty ridiculous. 18.5 and the total's 32. That's all over the place. That's so bad. That's so wild. So yeah. So we're both on the under on this game. Give us your second game, I guess, since we've got it in Air Force under 32. Air Force Army under 32.
You might have this game too. Biggest game of the week. Alabama LSU.
Oh man, this is a shared week.
Did you get this one too?
I got this one too.
Oh man, we might be on different sides though.
All right.
The big stat here for me, currently Alabama is 3-point favorites over LSU. Was listening to, I forgot who's listening to. I might have been listening to Pat McAfee, maybe. No,
Oh,
they're not informative, but they have some good stats in there. They have the Hammer Don guys that have good stats, but the last quarterback to beat Nick Saban twice is?
last quarterback like Jake Mettenberger or something.
We're going even further back than that. Drew Brees is
Oh
the
my
last
god,
quarterback to beat him twice.
at
Back when he was
Purdue.
in Michigan, back when Saban was in Michigan State, beat him twice. I don't think Jay Daniels can do it again. 3 points, I feel like is it could be another close game like it was last year. I don't even think LSU should have won last year anyway because obviously they had that 2-point conversion to win the game. Bama's trying to get into the playoff here. This would be a big statement win. Would probably get him in the top. I would hope potentially even the top 5 if they win this game. So I like Bama -3. Jay Daniels is a great quarterback. He's playing well, Heisman candidate, but it's at Bama. Only 3 points. I think the books are kind of looking at Jay Daniels saying, this guy could keep it close. I don't think it's going to be that close. I think it's probably going to be a 10-point game. So Bama -3.
I also have this game. This is a big game. Tuscaloosa, LSU, kind of still in the mix here. They have the tiebreakers. If they beat Bama, they're gonna have the tiebreaker. If it's a 3-way tie between them and Ole Miss, so it's everything to play for. They won this game last year, but everyone's kind of sleeping on Alabama this year. It's a different looking Bama team. This defense for LSU, just because they played a second string Army quarterback in Auburn who can't throw a football, this is a bad defense, folks. They're just bottom in the country, and Jaden Milroe is a competent quarterback. He's not the best, but he's definitely not the worst.
He's
Nick
improving a
Saban,
lot.
yeah, he's looked a lot better. Both teams were off this past week. They looked great in the second half against Tennessee. Nick Saban is 12-5 against LSU in his time at Bama. All 12 of those wins, greater than 3 points. I love the Tide this weekend, laying the 3 at home. Jane Daniels put up 421 yards of offense against Florida State. They lost that game by 3 touchdowns. Like, there's not a lot of help on this team. He's a good quarterback. The Bama defense is playing good, and they're pretty good in the pass coverage. They had one bad game against Texas in week 2, but since then they've been a stout secondary. They don't give up explosive plays. I think it's going to be a long, long night for LSU. Now, maybe they keep it close, but I expect the Tide to roll here. So this is 2 in a row. We're on the same side. I love it. We don't even talk before this. I got Bama -3 at 2. I don't see LSU being competitive in this game whatsoever.
Yeah, Bama always comes on strong later in the year too. It's like the quarterback, especially this year, has been struggling at the end of the year against Texas, and then it's really been just free sailing until up to this point. So Jalen Milroe is looking good, and I just think in this spot, I feel like Alabama's not going to hold anything back, and they'll beat them by probably. I'm thinking maybe even 17 points. It could be a pretty good beatdown in Tuscaloosa. So, yep, both of us picking the same games. Hopefully, on this game, we don't pick the same one. There are a lot of games this week, so
No, my
we'll
third
have 3 of
game.
them.
My third game is breaking your rules, so go right ahead.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm not picking that then.
There you go.
Yeah, so my next game is in the same league, Missouri, Georgia.
Like this game.
Typically, I'm not. I like to pick a dog cover. This week, I'm not going that way. I have a few honorable mentions that I have that are dog covers, but I actually really like Georgia -15.5. It's a scary number. That's a 3-score game, potentially a 2-score game if you're going with 2-point conversions, but that doesn't really happen, and Georgia doesn't really do that kind of thing. So this is a 3-score game. Very scary there playing in Georgia. For me, it's just when a team is good one year, they aren't supposed to be good. When they play a team that is notoriously good, I feel like it kind of comes to like, oh yeah, we should be bad. We shouldn't be, keeping close with this juggernaut of a team. Carson Beck's looking a lot better. He's not. I don't think he's that great. He's definitely improving. But pretty good win last week against Florida. They've pretty much been handling business. Lots of overs too. They've been pretty much hammering every single over this year. They're actually not every single over. Looks like they're actually 4-3. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, head to head last year it was a close game, but this year I think obviously Missouri's doing their thing, but I just don't think once again kind of the same LSU Alabama kind of look. I think Georgia's going to overpower them, and like I said, 3 scores is a lot, but I am willing to swallow those points and take Georgia. Missouri's getting a lot of money. 69% is getting
Nice.
for them on the money, and then almost split down the middle for money line. So, the public does like Missouri, which tells me probably hammer on Georgia. So, although it's a scary number, I'm going to take Georgia minus 15.5.
Yeah, this is interesting that they lose their check down target last week in Brock Bowers, and now they're throwing the ball downfield. Like, this Georgia offense looks a lot better when they don't have the security blanket there. And McConkey is he's a legit dude out there on the outside. He can make some plays. So I like Georgia in this spot. It's it's a scary number for me. Obviously, I would go Missouri if I was going to bet on this game, but Georgia's going to be motivated on how close that game was last year. And this is for the SEC East. Like, this gets you to the SEC title game with a win this week. So, yeah, I think Georgia shows up. I think this is a good spot for them. So I do not dislike this pick whatsoever. Just a little too scary for me. I'm going to stay in the SEC. Again, this is just it was a bad week all around, or maybe not all around, but just like numbers screaming at me. I do not get this line. I do not understand this. I'm going to break your rule. A&M's at Ole Miss this weekend. Ole Miss is laying a field goal at home. A&M is pathetic. This is the worst offensive line in the history of college football, maybe, since it's been tracked. They're giving up pressures almost half of the time. I think it's like 48% of the time Max Johnson is under duress. This offensive line is abysmal, horrendous. Ole Miss 5th in the country in sacks. They get after the quarterback. And we watched this A&M team against the Tennessee team who was tops in sacks, and they could not move the football whatsoever. It's a disaster right now. This team can't run the ball to save their lives. And even if they could, Ole Miss pretty good at stopping the run. Flip side, Jackson Dart in this offense has been humming. They had the one hiccup against Bama. Bama's a lot better than we said. Still a good passing team. A&M's 5th in the country in explosive plays given up. This secondary is as bad as this offensive line. I think this is a runaway show. I think people have way too much faith in the talent of A&M. The rumors are Jimbo's calling plays again. It's a dumpster fire in College Station. I see no way they cover this 3 points. And if they do cover this 3 points, that means the Aggies are going to win the game probably, and I'll be a little bit happier on Saturday. But this just screams like a dominating performance for Ole Miss. There's a big rivalry between these two teams with the shit talking. Kiffin's a fool, but he's going to run it up if he can. He ain't going to let it be close. So I think this is a dominating performance. I got the Rebels laying a field goal at home against the Aggies.
Yeah, I mean, we are talking about the number 1 defense in the SEC, apparently. So, I mean, they aren't – obviously A&M is bad, but they do have a pretty stout defense. They've been doing their job.
The secondary's terrible. The front seven's awesome. The secondary is bad.
I mean, we've been seeing these kind of lines with A&M all year, although they're 5-3 and lost 3 pretty bad games.
Convincing losses.
But the spreads so far have all been very, very close. Even with Bama, it wasn't like 7.5 or even it might have been less than a touchdown. So even against good teams, they've been single digit spreads.
It was 2.5 against Bama, and they got half.
Oh yeah, even more.
6.
So
6. Easy.
Yeah, against Tennessee was what 3.
3 lost by 7.
I can probably go back in September, like looking at.
Miami, they were favorites by 5 against Miami.
Yeah, they were 2.5 against Miami.
Even less.
But I mean, all year it's been that way. Even with let's see, look at there's one more I was looking at too.
I forgot to mention, A&M hasn't won a road game since 2021 at Missouri. They don't win on the road. This team is horrendous on the road. On top of that.
Yeah, it's just they've been doing it all year with the single-digit spreads, but yeah, I mean, Ole Miss is a good offense, and Like you said, secondary is not very good with A&M. So hopefully our team wins, but not looking great. I don't think they're
It's not
going to.
ideal. It's
No,
not ideal.
it's not ideal for them to win either. I think I'd rather just see Jimbo go away, and I don't know who they'd hire in his place, but he's not worth his 75 mil that he's getting paid. So you can go away now and hire somebody that isn't over 70 years old, to run a program, because we need some new progressive thinking at College Station, all the way around, not just in football, but that's
Hey,
for another.
at least Dabo's on the hot seat with Jimbo. They're kind of the same guy
Yeah,
at this point, so we're not
exactly.
alone at least.
Exactly.
All right,
Cool.
give us your
So
prop.
for my prop, I'm kind of sticking on my fantasy team here.
Nice. I couldn't do it.
I Yeah, it's in my other league, but I have DeAndre Swift. He's playing the Cowboys.
Damn.
His prop is 56.5 rushing yards. He's got 57 last week, so just barely got it. 62 before that. Bad game against the Jets, but they were very close game. Jets are great on defense, and it seemed like they may have had to throw a little bit more towards the end because they were behind. It's only 10 carries. His carries have been pretty good, so 16, 15. Rams 17. No, he's getting in the teens, so and he's pretty explosive. So obviously he had that 28 game against your team, 175 yards, and then
Nah, that didn't happen.
Tampa Bay, he had 16 for 130. So besides 2 games, the first game of the year where he had 1 carry and a half point against Washington and 18 yards against a Jets D, that's really good. Dallas is a good defense. They've stood their ground, on the defensive line, but it looks like I think they're the 11th ranked against running backs. DeAndre Swift's getting the ball. Gainwell's getting the ball a lot more, which is a little scary, but I still think he'll break his 56.5. So, and my props have been pretty good the last couple weeks. So luckily I've been doing all right on those. So we're going to go DeAndre Swift over 56.5 yards.
Yeah, I think I looked at this game too, so we identified there's something here. I kind of looked, AJ Brown is like at 80 something his total, but he's gone for 125 for like 6 straight games. I like Devontae Smith maybe to have a big game as the secondary option, because Cowboys have Gilmore and he's not great, and the secondary is just not as good with Diggs being out for the season. So I looked at that game, but I guess I did go with my fantasy team too, but I'm playing a worse team. Giants at the Raiders. We going out to Las Vegas. This is a pretty awful football game. Luckily, no Tommy DeVito, whoever the hell DeVito is at quarterback. No, it's going to be Danny Dimes this week. But Saquon Barkley, still very good running back. Still had a good game last week, relatively speaking. And, Raiders rush defense, they're 30th in the NFL. I don't care that they got a new coach. I know they'll be playing inspired ball. You don't fix a run defense in a week, in 5 days. It's just not going to happen. The Giants are going to lean heavy on the running game here. It's a little steep. It's 75.5, but I think Saquon does it here. 75.5 over rushing yards. He's going to get a lot of touches. Daniel Jones cannot get hurt. Like, that's the last thing this team can have happen. Because they're not in the business of getting a new quarterback. They're stuck with this contract for another 2 years, I believe. So, yeah, I like Saquon Barkley off a run defense in Vegas. And I think they're just going to lean on him. Lean him, feed him the rock, get those yards. So I'm going to Saquon over 75.5 rushing yards. It's a little scary, but I think they get it done. Vegas just not good in running. And Barkley has been good since he's come back from the injury.
Yeah, his last three games he's played in, he's had over 20 carries again, 24, 21, and then 36 against the Jets. So really when you're looking at running back props, and obviously I guess, wide receiver props, I'm more looking at targets and rushes and attempts for running backs over the yards they're getting. In fantasy, that's what I'm looking at too. If you're getting 10 targets a game and you're only getting 4 of them, catching 4 of them, hey, you got those targets. You're you're in the game. You're getting the opportunity to catch the ball. With Saquon, you're getting the opportunity. 36 carries last week.
It won't be that high. It won't be that high.
No, but I'm just saying he's probably going to get over 20, and that's a decent number when the guy's going to get at least upper teens up to 20, some potentially 25 carries. So Yeah, that
And it
looks
takes
good.
one
Last
20-yard run
three.
to really put this over. Like, you just
What
chunk
was the
one.
number? What was the number?
75 and a
70 what?
half. So you
So yeah,
chunk
he's
one
broke
one.
he's broken that number 3 times in a row since his injury. So I don't see how that wouldn't work, how that wouldn't hit.
Well, it is the Giants, so we never know.
Sure,
We
you
never
do
know.
never know.
You
They have
never know.
Danny DeVito playing quarterback last week. So
Might have been better than they were last week. All right, give us some honorable mentions, Scott.
yeah, so I wanted to pick this game, but I'll go against everything that I believe in now because I don't pick NFL games anymore. Raiders, who just fired their head coach, who just fired their
Inspired?
GM. They have a pissed off wide receiver. They have a pissed off running back, and they have an Antonio Pierce, old linebacker for the
Old
Giants.
Giants linebacker.
He's a dude. I remember watching him play. He's a new interim coach for the Raiders. Raiders are -1.5 against the Giants. I think everyone's hammering the Giants. I'm taking the Raiders. I'm taking the just the new energy Raiders. The same thing happened last year with the Colts when what's his name got fired.
When Jeff Saturday showed
When
back
Jeff
up for
Saturday
Frank
jumped,
Reich. Yeah.
yeah, when Frank Reich got fired, Jeff Saturday comes in, wins the first game. Am I going to say he's going to keep winning games in Las Vegas? No, probably not. He'll probably lose the next 7. But in this game only against the Giants, I think the Raiders will cover 1.5.
The only problem with that was he showed up and he beat the Raiders. He beat the Josh McDaniel Raiders. So maybe we shouldn't look at that. But
it's an honorable mention, so I can say whatever I want.
Yeah, go on.
I got Illinois, Minnesota under 43.5. This was like the biggest, the highest Big Ten under of the week. There's a few of them that are mid 30s.
We're at
even
30, I think, for
some
Iowa
lower
Northwest.
30s.
Iowa
I think one of
Northwestern
them.
was
I
at
think one was
29 and a half.
Yeah,
It got bet
oh,
up, though. It got bet up to 30 and a half because it was so low.
So, yeah, I'm just pretty much taking the highest Big Ten under, and, that's 43.5. So a lot of points for any Big Ten team. Bedlam, I have the Pokes +6 against Oklahoma at home. I wish they were playing at night, but Bedlam should be played at night, especially the last Bedlam potentially for a very long time.
I think. I love that. It was going to be my pick, but it was +190. So I love that upset this week. Love the Pokes this week.
Kansas, Iowa State under 53. Iowa's pretty stout on defense. Kansas would be a little scary picking them. They do have a pretty good offense even without their quarterback. But Jason Bean, I saw him run for that touchdown against Oklahoma last week. That guy can fly. So he's not a bad quarterback. Doesn't matter who's playing quarterback for Kansas. They have two good ones. But I think Iowa State can stop them a little bit and keep them under 53.5. I think Kansas still wins, but I like under 53. And then my last one, UCLA -2.5 against Arizona. I think Arizona is pretty hot right now, but kind of going back to a bad team that should be bad that's getting better. Yeah, they're jumping into a team that's doing really, really well and playing good football. So I think Arizona's getting picked a lot for this game, so I like it even more. I like UCLA -2.5.
All right. My honorable mentions. I got Boston College +3 at Syracuse. I think this is the wrong line. Boston College won 4 in a row. Syracuse has lost 4 in a row. They scored 2 touchdowns in 3 games in the month of October. This is just like a team that can't score. So I like Boston College this weekend. What was my other one? Oh God, I'm all over the place here. Oh, Colorado. I like Colorado as a dog this week. They're getting a ton at home. They need to win this game to get bowl eligible. They got 2 home games left. Now, this is going to go either way. Like, Colorado's going to be close and win this game, or they're going to get beat by 40. There is no, it's kind of close. They cover. I think the line's 14. Might be even more than that now. It's 13.5. It's not going to be close to that line. It's either Colorado easily covers this and maybe upsets Oregon State, or they get the shit kicked out of them by 40. Oregon State did lose last week, so I would be kind of concerned about that. Oregon and Cal, that's another one. I like Oregon. It's a big, big number. But Cal, they're playing better than we thought they would. It's just Oregon's got everything in front of them. They're not going to let this game get out of hand. I like Maryland +8.5 against Penn State this week. I think this is a trap spot for Penn State again. Penn State did not look good last weekend against Indiana. They kind of got lucky towards the end of that game. That might be, I was looking at that as my upset, at least taking them +8.5 there. So, yep, that's my honorable mentions. What is your upset of the week, Scott?
Well, you just said it. Taking
There we go.
Maryland plus 270 against Penn State. We're on the same page a little bit this week. This is more like a 50-50 game. It seems like Penn State going to College Park. Good quarterback with Tua's brother. Penn State's quarterback's okay. I think he's kind of more like a kind of a
Yeah,
kind of
Allard
a
just
he's
hasn't been
okay. He's
as good. Like he lit it up early in the season, just hasn't been as good the last
he's
few
just more
weeks.
like a game manager kind of type. I feel like.
Big time.
I feel like this could be a decently high scoring game. I think if Maryland gets out pretty quick, if they're up 14-0, could be pretty tough for Penn State to come back. But money line, the number looked great. Money line is pretty heavy on Maryland as well. 56% of the bets on the money line are with Maryland. They like that number too. Over is pretty hot with 70%, and then spread it's about 50-50 down the middle. So when money lines, the money line bets are more on Maryland than the spread bets. That kind of tells me this could be brewing an upset a little bit. Only worry, Maryland coming off 3 pretty bad losses. Ohio State obviously losing by 20. They've been doing that, and then Illinois, Northwestern, kind of bad. Hopefully they have a little bit of energy here and can come back home and play a Penn State team who very good. But I think I like the number and I like the spread as well. So I'm taking Maryland plus 270.
All right, this is like we are on the same wavelength. This was a little tough week. It felt like for upsets, there was nothing that kind of screamed at me like, oh yeah, this is one brewing here that I really like. A lot of close ones. Okie State, like you said, like that's a big time one that's just out of range here. I'm gonna go a little bit smaller here. We're gonna give some small schools some love. We had a little in-state game, maybe a rivalry, maybe not. We got UTSA North Texas.
Close one
The
too.
Roadrunners at the Mean Green here. Mean Green catching 7.5, but they're plus 240. I like it. I like North Texas this week at home in Denton. Big thing is here, UTSA has been playing pretty good, but still only 5-3 on the season. They looked really good last week against East Carolina, but East Carolina kind of sucks. FAU not good. They play inferior opponents. When they played Tennessee, they got housed. North Texas, nothing to talk about. They're 3-5, so they kind of got to win some games here to get bowl eligible, and they want to be bowl eligible. The biggest thing that looks at me here is the mismatch that UTSA's defense 93rd in passing, and North Texas's passing offense is 12th. So North Texas is going to be able to move the football in this game. We're going to have a high-scoring game. I love the over in this game. It's a big over, too, I think. It's 71. I think we're going to have a shootout, and you don't want middle-scoring games. You want low-scoring games or super high-scoring games for an upset, and I think North Texas gets it done here. Some small school love, in-state rivalry, kind of. I guess I just don't think this is as good of a UTSA team we've seen in the past few years. And North Texas, they've always been able to throw the football. They can throw the football, and UTSA can't cover it. So I'm going to take the plus 240 here on the Mean Green of North Texas.
Yeah, I saw this one too. I was thinking about it. UTSA 4-game win streak. They've been doing pretty well. Not very good teams they've been beating, and they've been favorites in every single one of them. So they're doing their jobs. 3-1 against the spread in those 4 games. But I did like this game as well. UNT kept it pretty close against Memphis last week as well as a dog. So they can score. Like you said, you either want to lower total or a super high total. And this is definitely one of those. UNT's known to score a lot of points. Usually their spreads aren't any lower than 60. So
4 straight covers too for UNT. Even though they're 1-3 in those games, 4 straight covers. So they're playing hard. They're keeping things close. And the rivalry, it's 3-2 the last 5 years, head to head.
Yeah, so I like it. I was looking at this game too. That was one of the ones I had my finger on, but I'm glad we didn't go the same way this way too.
No.
So glad we have a little bit of competition.
We're very, very much on the same wavelength this week, but it's getting late in the season. There's only so many games. We kind of know what teams are going to be, and we kind of feel what we're going to get from teams. But let's run it down for everybody, and we can wrap this thing up.
Yep. So first game, we got our Army Air Force under 32. We both have that one. Alabama -3 against LSU. We have that one as well. Georgia -15.5 against Missouri. DeAndre Swift over 56.5 rushing yards. And then Maryland +270 against Penn State at home.
All right. And I got, like you said, we got the under in the Air Force Army game for the armed services. Go everybody under 32. Bama -3 against the LSU Tigers. Do not go Tigers. Roll Tide. I have Ole Miss -3 against our Aggies. I got Saquon Barkley over 75.5 rushing yards. And I got the North Texas Mean Green over the Roadrunners at +240. All right, first week into the month of November, Scott. You are losing this month. I'm getting hot. I'm starting to feel it, even though we have all the same games this week, so I can't get that big of a lead. But it should be a lot of fun. Again, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up, like this video. Helps out a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We got new sports content every single day, and we will be back here again next Friday for all of your best bets. We'll see y'all then.